recorded.
Hey guys, welcome to Steve's Weekly Watch List. It's first week of July. And over the weekend, we had some news that made the markets pop overnight. So we're up quite a bit. And as we could see, we're still inside of this rising wedge on the weekly and the monthly, where we were kind of in the middle. Now we're heading towards the upper end of it. Go on the daily, we could see that we're inside of this bullish channel here. We have some resistance coming up here at this 3,000 mark, but we could exceed it to about 3,015, 20, maybe some change. We could definitely exceed it to 30, 32, and then pull back and close inside of this resistance here. But this here is some long-term resistance here. So this yellow line here is this previous uptrend here. It's acting as resistance now. And here we have this rising support. So that's creating this rising wedge here. And rising wedges usually, typically, 65% of the time fire down. So there's a high probability that we might fire down. We can definitely fire up. There is still a probability that we will fire up, but the nature of this pattern is we fire down. As we can see, this one we had here, and that one fired down. But this one is sort of different, as this one went straight up and then dropped and fell, and this one came up, dropped inside the pattern, and recovered inside the pattern. So it's still up in the air. I still think no matter if we fire up or down, we're still going to catch some resistance at that 3,000, 330 mark. So keep an eye out for that. We're definitely already pushing up to those levels. We could definitely push up to that level tomorrow. If there is any more good news or anything that will spark a push higher, maybe even some short covering could push up to this area. And then we have a Fed talking. It's not Powell. Powell's not talking. We have another Fed. His name is John Williams. He's a member of the Fed. He's in New York's Fed. So, you know, he's talking before the market opens at 6:30 Eastern time. So whatever he has to say can affect the market, just like the last week when another guy, completely blanked on his name right now. Last name started with the B. Bullard said some things and dropped the market. So definitely John Williams could say some things and either push the market higher or drop it. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen on that Tuesday morning. So be prepared for that. Just, you know, don't go in blindsided. We are coming up to some resistance, you know, keep in mind. And then we have a Fed talking, keep in mind, okay? That Fed could blast it through or could stop it down. So here's ES, you know, we're above the weekly and monthly breakout, 29.6125. So we are making new highs, all-time highs. So we can definitely push up and hit that 3,000 mark. Let's look at NQ. So NQ is also inside of a rising wedge here. And it still has a little bit to go before it hits the top. It's not making all-time highs just yet. So we can take from that currently ES is stronger than NQ right now. So S&P 500 is stronger than NASDAQ right now. We're not making all-time highs yet. Now, if you remember a month ago, the NASDAQ was making all-time highs and S&P wasn't. Well, now it's switched roles. So now the S&P 500 is making all-time highs and the NASDAQ isn't. So here we have this bullish channel as well. We are at daily breakout. We're trying to get that breakout. And then once we get that daily breakout, we should get that weekly breakout and push or attempt to push to those all-time highs and possibly get that 8,000 mark. And that would be near the top of the wedge on there. So we at this point in time, we're trying to look at NQ and QQQ to kind of work harder this next week and this next week or tomorrow and even the coming week to push higher so it could catch up to ES and be at the top of the wedge as well. Okay, so we'll be looking at NQ, QQQ, and technology as a whole to kind of catch up to the market. All right, so in saying that, let's look at a couple stocks. Baba. So Baba here is something interesting. We have a pattern here. It's about a descending triangle pattern, kind of. And if we see that, we have a gap up here, a huge gap up here. This 191.88, and that's also the top of that triangle pattern. So if we do end up pushing, we can definitely push to that 191.88 area, and that's going to be some strong resistance because we have the downtrend and we have that gap fill. So that would be my sell point. I do have 177. I do have 177.47 as some strong resistance. So that's going to be a little hurdle to get through. But if we get through that 177.47, then I definitely see us pushing to that 191.88. And if we can get there and gap fill, then that's where I want to see some profit taking and this to come back down towards the lower end of this triangle or this wedge pattern. So we'll be getting tight if this does come up here, fill that gap, and we consolidate in here. It's going to get tight and choppy. But right now we have some good distance to the upside if this is going to continue up. All right. So we looked at Baba. Now let's look at NVDA. NVDA on the weekly. So NVIDIA on the weekly looks pretty good. Extending to the left. So it kind of formed this descending triangle pattern, and it broke out last week of that pattern. On the daily, we're in this bullish channel. We're in this bullish channel here, and with good volume, we have a lot of good buying volume. Pushing up, we're definitely going to be pushing to 270. And if it could get past 270, it's going to be heading to that 277.40 area. And that should be some good resistance, as it's going to be at the top of this channel as well. So if we get to this 277.40 area, that should be some good resistance, as it's going to be the top of the channel, and it's going to be that 200-day moving average. So NVIDIA has a little bit up to go. I might have a lot of up to go if it does break and hold above this downtrend that we just broke out of last week. The only reason it can come back is if it gets rejected at this 270 or 277 and then falls back and sells off hard and falls back inside of this downtrend. But as of right now, it breaking out looks good. RSI's trying to get back above 50. Indicators are looking like they're turning. Once we break 193.50, we should be on our ways to come back up to try to test these areas. If it ever gonna get back up there, it's gonna have to break that 193.50 to confirm that it's going back towards those 200 or 300 mark. Well, as of right now, NVIDIA looks pretty good for more upside. Definitely a 170 and potentially the 177.40 has this nice uptrending channel, nice volume. Everything's looking good. Indicators on the daily, everything's looking good for a push higher. That 177.40 probably be my next target until this creates some other pattern. All right, so that's NVIDIA. So let's go check out CAT. So CAT's interesting. So CAT is in this long-term downtrend, but overall on the monthly, we have this nice bull flag. So we have this nice bull flag on the monthly. We have this downtrend on the weekly. So if we break this downtrend, which currently we're finding resistance at, if we break this downtrend and we push higher, that's going to be a nice breakout for CAT. And this 128.59 is the bull flag support for the monthly. So that's even stronger for higher. And if we break this 144.77, then CAT's going to run. It's going to run for a while. It's going to start a nice uptrend, and it's going to run back up to the 200s. I have 203 as my first target. If it breaks that 144.77 and gets a close above, I think that it's going to be headed to the 200s if everything's all good and dandy, right? The economy and everything, because CAT is really heavily relied on, building infrastructure. So if the economy is good, if interest rates are going to be cut, then that's going to be a very good positive for CAT, and it's going to break out, and it's going to be a nice runner, because CAT has been a dog lately in this nice downtrend. We break out, we're already making a higher low than this low. So that low made a higher low. This one's a higher low. Okay, now we just need to go and make a higher high. If we make that higher high, then boom, to the moon. We're gonna go run on CAT. CAT's gonna run really nice. We could see on the monthly, we do have a squeeze, but it has momentum to the downside. But this momentum can switch if we get this breakout. If we get this breakout, that momentum will switch and it'll go to the upside, and then we'll have a breakout on the squeeze to the upside, and we should run pretty good on CAT. Now, if that doesn't happen, as we are getting rejected at that upward trend line, and we break down here, we could still hold this 132.91, and we could even still hold this 131.50. But if we break below this 131.50, then we're on caution. And if we break below this 128.59, then we have to accept that we're coming down and heading towards the lower end of this channel on CAT. So far, looks good, except for this rejection sign, but we should either consolidate, push up, or gap up over this resistance. With the good news over the weekend, it could definitely gap up and then start to push. I would watch CAT and see exactly how it acts. Watch that number and watch that number, okay? To the moon or to the dirt. But it's been a dog, so it could be a runner, all right? Another one, Tesla. So Tesla has this downtrend right here, this nice downtrend that it's been respecting. And right here where it's respecting it, it's actually creating a bull flag. So this gets above this downtrend here, I could see it pushing to that 250, 258 area, even 270 area. Now, Tesla has production numbers this week. If they deliver on their production numbers, 258, 271, no problem. They're going to get it. Now, if they don't, then they're going to sell back under and drop below this downtrend. So it's up in the air. They have really aggressive production numbers, but they've been hitting the production numbers pretty well. So right now I'm leaning bullish on Tesla, and I think that it's definitely going to that 258 area, 252, 258 area. So I'm long it right now until that area and see what happens there, and see what happens until it gets there. All right, Tesla. Okay, now let's look at Apple. So Apple, we're in this triangle pattern on the weekly. We're in this type of triangle pattern, kind of in the middle of it. We still can push up to about 209, 206.50 to 209 area, even 211 before we get resistance and kind of push down. So I have my target as 206.50, and if it exceeds that, 209.88, and then 211.90, and that should get it some resistance and push down, unless this is going to break out of this pattern, which I don't think it is, as there's still so much room. There's still so much room, so it might come up here and then pull back some, come back to this 287 area, and then consolidate, and then end up breaking out up or down closer to this area here. So I don't think it's going to break out until a couple more weeks, maybe August, as we build another candle this week, next week, week after, and then August goes in. Yeah, thinking August we get a breakout, breakdown, whatever it is. Well, actually, Apple's earnings are coming up end of July. So end of July, Apple's earnings are coming out. Let's see, was this earnings on 7/30? Yeah, so the last day of July. So yeah, I'm pretty right. August, pretty much the 1st of August, we should get a breakout. So it's probably after market. Yeah. So after market, 7:30 after market. So July 30th, we're gonna get a big breakout. Whether that breakout's up or down, who knows? But mark your calendars, mark your alerts that we're gonna get a big breakup, big breakdown. I like Apple. I've always been an Apple guy. Apple was my first trade ever, so I lean to the upside. But we shall see. We shall see. All right. So let's see. Let's go to QQQ. So QQQ is just like NQ. It has that rising wedge on there. It still has a ways to go towards that 195, 197 area before it hits the top of that wedge. So I still think that it's going to that 195 area, maybe exceed it to 196, 197 before it catches the top on there and then pulls back. We shall see. I think after hours it's already at 190 and some change, which is above the daily breakout, but we haven't got the weekly breakout at 191.32. So if we get that, we should be heading towards that 195, 197 area. So QQQ is one to watch. And see, SPY, BABA, and Q. All right. You know, keep in mind, Fed meeting Tuesday, we are nearing that upper end of that wedge. So just keep your trading kind of small this week, as it's going to be quite a short week, as we have, I think it's Wednesday, we have a short day, and then Thursday, no trading. Friday's a full day, but you know, the data is just going to eat away at a lot of calls and puts. So keep your trading small unless you get really good confirmation on something, or go farther out in time for your positions that you want to get in, because data is probably going to be a big thing this week, as we have we lose a day and a half off the bat, and they spread that data out, so it's not giving up on those 2 days, but it's spread out, so it's giving up evenly over Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed the weekly watch list. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, guys. I forgot to go to SPY. So SPY, as mentioned last week in the weekly watch list, I said that 300's coming. Get your puts soon when you hit that 300. So SPY's, I think, in after hours, it's around 297. So it's around this 297.30 or 296.38, 297 area. So as we go to this 300 area, that's going to be the top of that resistance, that wedge. We might exceed it a little bit to 302, but we might come back in. I would just be cautious in this zone. Be very cautious. I think that we're going to be pulling back and chopping up until the end of the real good earnings. So Amazon earnings, Apple earnings, Netflix earnings, all those earnings are going to have to push the market out to break out to all-time highs. I think it's just going to do it right now, right before earnings season. So probably some selling in July and then recovering end of July going into August. That would be my thought process. Is we get a nice push up first week of July, and then second week or the end of the first week and towards the second week we start getting selling, and then towards the end of the month we start to get that recovery going. All right, so now I'm cutting the watch list. I'll post that and send out the emails. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all